It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of all modes of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our nation, Africa, and the rest of the world. Transport Line is being beamed to you from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's fifth largest economy, Lagos. I am Shina Ilegbede. Glad to know that you are keeping us company. Nigeria is among the countries that have direct outside access to the ports, to the seaports, and of course, the Atlantic Ocean. This invariably makes Nigeria a maritime nation. Maritime nation has definitely exposed and continue to expose Nigeria to international shipping trade and port operation. Consequently, the dynamics of trade facilitation and ease of doing business has become a veritable tool for the efficient and effective assessment of the two major ports in Nigeria, that is Apapa Port and Tinkan Island Port. Remember, conservatively, about 95% of imports and exports in Nigeria, they pass through Apapa Port and Tinkan Island Port. Hence, their importance is very, very important. So, what role has trade facilitation has to do with efficient and effective port operation in Nigeria? These we shall be looking at today on Transport Line. And I have with me as guest on set, Dr. Segun Musa. Am I?
Yes.
On set, he's a transportation consultant. And he's going to more or less, well, I'm going to more or less tap from his knowledge of the maritime industry. Invariably, our viewers too will be better informed as regards trade facilitations and the ease of doing business in relationship with efficient and effective port operations and management. Dr. Segun Musa, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
It's been a while since we saw you last on Transport Line.
Yes.
Yes, well, here we are today. Trade facilitation, what is it all about?
Yeah, when you say trade facilitation, you're talking about the nucleus of supply chain. You're talking of the heart of transportation itself. And it simply means the coordination, the synergy, the control of movement of trade from one point to the other, and especially to the final consumer.
Today, there is global economic recession, but you and I in Nigeria feels it most because we virtually import all we consume, and that has put much pressure on the way our ports are being run. Today, there's congestion already at our ports. So what do you think is the role of trade facilitation in this? How can it assist?
Yeah, let me start by saying we actually privatize our ports because of the control of the ports, the lackadaisical approach in the port operations when it was being managed by federal government, and we privatized it to private owners during the Obasanjo regime.
That was 2006?
Yes, 2006. And since then, I don't think much has changed because it's not about infrastructure alone. It's also about the policy drive. It's also about synergy. And it's also about accepting the best international best practices. I need to tell you that there's no difference between the way we operate our ports in the past and the way we operate it now. I can even say categorically that the port operation is still in the archaic way, the Stone Age approach. Nothing has changed from either of the actors, the critical stake actors in the sector. We can pick them one by one, talking about the people saddled with the responsibility of bringing or receiving vessels. That's NIMASA. Nothing has changed in NIMASA. NIMASA still yet to understand the essence of that agency, why it was formed in 2007, if I'm not mistaken, why it was formed. And if we continue merry-go-rounding around the Stone Age approach, definitely we continue getting the same results. Talking about the MPA as concession, the ports, and they are not managing the operations of the port effectively. The concessionaires are like in the world of their own. They dictate the pace. They do it the way they want it. And you know, it's also of great advantage to the terminal operators to delay the clearance of cargo, because they make more money from storage charges. They make more money from storage charges. So they care less if we're talking about trade facilitation. They could afford to do everything that will frustrate the clearance of cargo. And that's why we say, even including the customs have not changed. And all other government agencies. I think some people are benefiting from delay in clearance procedures. And they are frustrating the essence of trade facilitation and ease of doing business. Let me start by saying, when the issue of PAR was introduced by the customs, I'm one of the lone voice that kicked against it. And I said, look, if the customs are not satisfied with the pre-shipment agency or destination agencies that are privately owned, we can actually reform the process and procedure. Let them continue managing, because there must be check and balances. The custom cannot be the accused, the prosecutor, the judge in their own case. There's no reason why the custom should be the one processing the import duty reports. It should be processed by private sector, and the custom will check what has been done. And I remember vividly from the CG of Customs then up till senior officers, they kept saying that, look, once we start issuing this PAR, we will not query it because it's a document. It will look like self-indictment if we are the one condemning whatever is being issued by private operators, agents before, that is advisory. By the time we start issuing our own, we don't have to call it advisory again. We would have done the diligence, we would have checked the risk assessment before issuing it. But as we speak today,
Has there been any change?
nothing has changed. It's still advisory up to now. The PAR is still an advisory document to consider. So they query almost all the PAR that comes in now. So we also need to look at other agencies like NAFDAC, like Standard Organization, and other actors, the state actors that are operating within the confine of the port. They are still operating like the Stone Age approach. And I keep telling people, there's a difference between release of shipment, clearance of shipment, and delivery of shipment. At every point, we experience frustration. Either the officer is not on seat to attend to your documents, or probably they will query you wrongly. And by the time you are able to say, look, okay, your query, if you think is genuine, allow me, according to the rules, let me get you a bond to clear my cargo, and let's continue the argument. They will tell you, go and get a bond of 2 weeks. Because they know that within 2 weeks, you won't finish the argument. Definitely the bond will drop. Ordinarily, there's nothing stopping them saying, okay, give us a bond of 6 months. Let's argue it. If it drops, if we conclude your argument within a week, 2 weeks, it's okay. But at least give the ample of time for them to put up their own argument. So you hardly see people, because you compare the cost of storage when the argument is ongoing, or when you're defending their query, and the storage charges. You rather play along, either to pay whatever the difference, even while you are right, or you find another means to clear your cargo. That is a big frustration to trade facilitation. Again, there's no synergy among the state actors.
The agencies.
The agencies, they operate independently. They are not looking at competitively, exactly. They are not looking at whatever delays that is being experienced by agency B will affect my own efficiency. The custom will say today and say, look, we have a robust system that you can clear your cargo within the stipulated time, not considering the frustration from other agencies. Other agencies will say, look, once you pass your documents in and you go online and do it, unfortunately, you go online. Most of them that are claiming they are online, you express a lot of frustration in their online operations. Who do you report to? Nobody. And unfortunately, the agencies that regulate do not have power over most of these agencies. So who do you report to? These are major bottlenecks to trade facilitation. And until we begin to look at, we have a lead agency, which is the customs, you key other agency into it, and whenever the custom want to release, it must be predetermined. There must be a time frame that once an entry is lodged within a specific time, it must be treated. And when you want to start trade facilitation, I've proposed so many approaches. Number one, I propose that every seat in the clearance procedures must be timed. If any document exceeds that predetermined time at every seat, that seat must be queried. The system must be automated. If you fail to automate the system, it will be frustrated. And I keep saying there's no reason why the actors, the freight forwarder, the private sectors should have interface with the public actors.
So it should be IT digital.
It should be IT driven. It should be automated. All I need to do, like what I propose, like I should access the custom platform online within my comfort zones. Input whatever the data I want to input in their platform. They check it. Once it hits their platform, somebody must attend to it immediately. Check if it tallies with what has been manifested. If it tallies with the revenue that's supposed to be collected. If it tallies, because before the shipment gets to the terminal, it passes through scanner. The scanner would have scanned and filed the report. Once I input my system, they attach whatever they file to the report I'm filing, to the data I've inputted. If it aligns with it and I've paid the correct duty, then they should release to me. There's no need for what we call fiscal examination. It's an archaic approach. It's a Stone Age approach.
Not only that, it's an avenue to more or less
have interface, corruption. It enhances corruption. I don't need to know an officer before I can do my clearance. I don't need to see an officer. An officer does not need to know who owns this license. License name should not be in the system of customs. It should be at the back end, the control room, that we know the name of the license. Every license must come with a code. So the customer does not even know the code. They don't know the agency that owns the code. So once my data has been inputted, the custom does not know me, does not know the agency. They relate with me based on code, which they don't even have privilege of knowing. And once they do that, they release my shipment expressly. Unless and otherwise there is infringement or there is a suspicion that warrant inviting me for physical examination. And if it is done wrongly, the officer must go through punitive measure.
Now, Dr. Shegun Musa, you mentioned all the major actors, but whether inadvertently or deliberately, you've omitted the agency we refer to as the economic regulator. I'm talking about Nigeria Shippers Council. Now, I could recall in 2015 when the immediate past CG of Customs paid his missing visit to the then Executive Secretary of Shippers Council and chief executive officer, I'm referring to Azam Bello. And he did caution that, that is Azam Bello, that look, all this issue of revenue, giving customs to generate revenue and what have you, to then 1 trillion naira today, 1 trillion, said, look, he wasn't against, and he's still not against custom generate revenue. But unless and until Nigerian ports more or less wake up and make sure that there is efficient trade facilitation and ease of doing business that will knock out our competitors in the West African sub-region, we won't be there. What's your views on it?
Yeah, like I said earlier on, the customs are not making enough revenue. It is not until you begin to give debit advice or a DN to the importer that you make more money. The source of revenue of customs should be turned over. The more you facilitate trade, the more you encourage people to bring in more imports, the more you increase the volume of traffic, freight that comes in and going out. But if you want to maximize revenue on the limited cargo that are coming in, you won't generate enough. And rather than generating enough, you frustrate the ones that are coming in and you discourage a lot of people because a lot of people will close shop because they cannot sell those commodity again, talk less of raising money to import more. So if you want to generate your target based on the limited cargo that are coming in, number one, you delay the clearance. They will pay more than what they're supposed to pay for shipping company. They will pay more than what they're supposed to pay for terminal operators. And at the end of the day, all these will be added to the total cost to the final consumers. The commodity will be more expensive in the market, which will affect all of us. And that's why we are having the inflation and hyper price of commodities in the market. Because customs need to understand that all their operations affect every individual. Even unborn baby, it affects it. That's why when the SEMA was to be passed, most of us will criticize the SEMA of custom. Because we know what is going to be the impact on the common man on the road. SEMA is like our Quran or our Bible that guides everything we do. So when they want to pass SEMA, every actor, not only freight forwarders and few actors, will have the opportunity to debate. The civil servant, the civil agents, NGOs, every actor must pick interest in review of SEMA. Well, it affects everybody. Today we are saying commodities of food is high in the market. These are factors. Because if my shipment is delayed in the port, whatever I'm paying as additional storage to the shipping company, whatever I'm paying to the terminal operators, whatever I'm paying to the cargo handling companies, I will pass it to the final consumers. And the price will be above what people can afford in the market. Now, my proposal to customs and to federal government is that let us automate the ports. That's what we call international best practices. If you want to facilitate trade, that's the way to go. Number one, you input your system, the scanner has captured the details of the container, they file it. Once you input, they attach it to it. If it complies, you pay the advice to pay duty. Once you pay your duty, they give you express release. The express release will your whatever you file during the scanner will be shared among regulatory agencies, Standard Organization, NAFDAC, and any other regulatory agencies. They look at the documentation you filed. If it corresponds, they give you their own express release. Everybody must see that you are on green in terms of release. Once you're on green, they give you express release. No physical examination. And you just take, once you do that, they give you what we call e-release, or what we call electronic release. They send it to your phone, they send it to your email. Once you have that, you now transmit, as they are sending it to you, they are also sending it to shipping companies, they are also sending it to terminal operators. You go to terminal shipping companies platform, you fill your delivery order. You make your duty, you make your shipping company payment, they release to you. Once they release to you, they send your release to the terminal. The terminal will also look at what the customs have given them, what you submitted on their platform. They give you what we call electronics TDO. DO. You fill it, you pay their terminal charges, and they also release to you. They give you what we call ETDO, electronics TDO, terminal delivery order. Once they pass that to you, both your phone and your email, you send it to the haulage company. Your haulage company approach the port immediately. By the time it gets to the gate, it's already in the gate house. They submit it, they input it in the system, they tell you the terminal, you go there. They position your container before you get there. They just put it on your haulage and you drive out and you go. And nobody stops you on the road, nobody lays siege for you on the road, nobody takes you to another custom control area on the road. You just deliver straight. That is international best practices. Okay. We cannot continue saying everybody is a criminal and you expect the international community to respect us. Let's be disciplined in our process and our procedures. Once we are disciplined, definitely the international community will do more business with us, more shipping companies will come, more investors will come. But as long as customs are laying siege on the road, arresting container that has been released in the port on the road is an indictment on the custom themselves, because most of the one that has been arrested, we've not seen any of the custom officers prosecuted. Because ordinarily, if there are shortfalls from what has been released, the officer that have released should pay. It should serve as a deterrent. Yeah. But most of the time, you still see the same officer that have released the cargo that they lay siege on and they are arrested. You still see them releasing more for officers on the road to arrest. We can't run a system like that. We will destroy the port operations. And until we begin to look at where did we get it wrong and start correcting it, we won't facilitate any trade in this country.
Dr. Sheikh Musa, before we round up, the evacuation of cargo is very, very crucial when you're talking about trade facilitation. Now, some few days ago, I think it was last week, Nigeria Railway Corporation and Nigeria Shipper Council signed a memorandum of understanding. The memorandum of understanding has to do with the evacuation of cargo from the ports. And the MD of NRC complained that terminal operators deliberately either delay or charge extra so that people, exporters, hardly think it twice or wise to evacuate their consignment through the railways. What is your take on this?
Number one, I think it's a welcome development. I remember when Bello Azdan was in charge of Shippers Council, we quarreled over this because he was actually concentrating on haulage. And I told him at different forum, I've said you cannot pilot ICD with haulage. The essence will be defeated. I insisted that we should use rail to pilot ICD depots. And that's why most of the inland continental depots are not operating maximally. And now that the Shippers Council have waked up from their slumber and they are ready to do the right thing, I will implore the railway to ensure that they do not only hold meeting with Shippers Council, they should also hold meeting with terminal operators and tell them the implication of not allowing it to be competitive to use rail. And if possible, they should also involve the Minister for Blue Economy and Marine and Blue Economy in this discussion, so that we will be able to compare the terminal operators. That if you overcharge and frustrate the essence of evacuating cargo from the port, then you will be the one that we will all see as frustrating the essence of trade facilitation. So to me, it's a welcome development. If we cannot evacuate cargo from the port with rail, especially those that are going to ICDs, then we will not be seen as a responsible port operators. Because if you look at the days that we do enjoy good trade facilitation and port operations, those are the days that our railway were very, very effective, because they run with high volume as well as minimal cost. So I think it's the right way to go, and there should be a more larger house discussion so as to ensure that the terminal operators do not frustrate this lofty idea.
Dr. Sheikh Musa, I want to really appreciate your appearance on Transport Line.
Thank you very much.
You've really enlightened the viewership as regards the importance of trade facilitation and ease of doing business in order to move our post operation forward.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you
and
very
wish you all the best.
Thank you
We hope
very
to see you next time when we call upon you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we round up, I want to just inform you that the League of Maritime Editors, whom I refer to as Elders of the Tribe in Maritime Reportage, will be holding its annual general meeting come the 23rd of this month. And the Honorable Minister for Marine and Blue Economy, Oyebanji, will be the special guest of honor, among other stakeholders in the maritime sector. Please keep it a date. Well, we are still feeling the pinch. Times are still hard. But please empathize with your fellow Nigerians. Be compassionate. Give every assistance you can. That way, there will be harmony in the society. Be your brother's keeper. Till next time, bye-bye for now.